Good evening, everyone. My name is Bobby Benton, aka Serendipitously Bobby, and I am the host of the Life Essentials podcast, The Self Healer's Journey. And tonight we have a special guest. We are going to be talking about the kept woman, and our special guest is Ms. Dominique Johnson. So, Dominique Johnson graduated from Mercer University with a Master's of Science degree in Human Services in 2020 and cum laude, I'm sorry, with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Business Management from Mary Grove College in 2017. Her research and career paths have focused on community and victim-centered solutions for women and children experiencing sex trafficking and domestic violence. Dominique's passions as a servant leader has led her to work two service terms with AmeriCorps as Vista and Public Allies. I'm sorry, y'all. Glasses. As a new transplant to Atlanta, Georgia, she has continued to work with her service through volunteering with Leadership for Educational Equity, Atlanta Coalition for Educational Equity, and the Atlanta Business League. She has created a life skills coaching curriculum that focuses on helping young women who have been involved in sex work and provide resources to support their transition out of the lifestyle to make new choices that will benefit them, their community, and their families. She has created and facilitated client-centered and evidence-based curriculum that help clients move into family-sustaining practices through employment and home ownership. She's Her current role as founder of the Prom Project Michigan and director of outreach for Save the Pearls kept her busy conducting an annual prom for survivors of trafficking and domestic violence victims, producing monthly webinars that educate the community of vulnerabilities for children that may lead to trafficking. Man, you're doing a lot, Dominique. Welcome, Dominique.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure, my absolute pleasure to be here tonight.
I am so glad that you are here tonight. Let me just give you a little backstory how you got here. So, Dominique and I have been friends since 2020, and we met at work. Most of my friends are people I meet at work. So, we met at work, both helping human trafficking sex trafficking victims and domestic violence victims. And she was transitioning out of a role. I was transitioning in a role, and we just hit it off. Two social butterflies.
Mm.
Fast forward to like this, I'm gonna say this year, we our paths crossed again because we kind of had a lap. She would reach out, I would reach out here and there, but we crossed paths again, and she has started the Prom Project Michigan, and she this year, guys. Man, I wish I would have pictures of that. Dominique helped how many women this year?
Um, we were able to help approximately 13 young women between the ages of 16 and 40 attend the prom.
Yes, and it was a beautiful event. Like the women all received everything was free to the women. They got makeovers, got beautiful gowns. Just they had the room. The prom was just gorgeous because well, not but in the when life happens, sometimes you miss those pivotal moments that are staples in people's lives, like prom. So Dominique, that was a great blessing for those women because I'm sure a lot of them missed that, and you made it special for them. So I just want to say thank you for letting me just be a part of that and sit and see and watch. It was nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's my I tell people it's not a side gig. It's my career right now. I don't have a plan B. I have not been employed for over a year. And so this is all that I do now.
Well, you do it well. You do it well out here changing lives. Yes, you do it well. So at the Prime Project, well, I knew that Dominique had moved to Atlanta. So guys, she's in Atlanta right now. We're virtual. So she moved to Atlanta, and she had a beau. Her beau is Patrice, and she always spoke so highly of him. Patrice, Patrice, Patrice. So I finally got to meet Patrice at the Prom Project. And when I say this man is smitten with her, and he was just, I could see that the genuine care and love, just him being there, the energy he just had the whole time in meeting him, he genuinely cares and loves you and supports you. So, and we were teasing, and you were like, I'm a kept woman. And I was like, ooh, about that. And so I had asked her to come on the show so we can talk about the kept woman. The dictionary has several different versions of the kept woman. But how we're going to talk about it is to us, the kept woman is just a woman who is being financially supported like 100% by her husband or her boyfriend, her fiance, whomever. But she's financially supported by him. And this podcast is about teaching, people about, the signs of domestic violence, healing through domestic violence and sex trafficking, things like that. And so a lot of times I poke on women, um, being financially dependent on men and financial abuse. So I wanted tonight to just talk about the upside of being in a healthy relationship with someone, being 100% dependent upon them, but in a healthy way. So, Dominique, we're just going to jump on into it. And just, first, I want to know, how did you and Patrice meet?
We didn't. We've always known each other. So, so his oldest sister, and my aunt became best friends at 15. So when I came, my aunt was about 16 when I was born. And from that point on, she pretty much decided I was her child. And so where she goes, she took me. And so I literally grew up with Patrice and his family. His sisters babysat me. I've gone on family functions. I'm expected at family functions. We've gone on vacation together. His mom came and stayed with us all summer long. And my aunt and uncle even lived across the street from his mom's best friend. My uncle worked at Henry Ford Hospital with his mom. So we've literally been intertwined all of our lives. All of our lives. He would tell people he has no memory that did not include me.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's a compliment right there. Like, and then the way he gushes over you, I mean, that's a compliment. Now I've seen it for myself. This man, he loves Dominique. Um, so that right there is like, you guys just, the history is top notch.
Yeah, we've been best friends all of our lives. We have literally, like I said, family functions. I was expected to be at the weddings, to be at the funerals, to be at the birthday parties. I didn't get an invitation. I was just we always tease saying that I was his plus one, but I never was the plus one. I was just there. always there. So
you were a staple. But you said something that was important, which a lot of relationships don't have. He is your best friend.
He is. I've been married, and I was married for approximately 12 years. And being in this relationship allowed me to see and understand, and unfortunately come to grips with the fact that my ex-husband and I were never friends, because this is what real friendship looks like. And so and it's been interesting. We just became a couple in 2018. So, but our dynamic has not changed. We were looking at pictures that we've taken even before we became a couple. We still looked at each other like that. Other people could see it, but we knew it for ourselves, but we were in denial. And then one day we just pulled the trigger and was like, I'm not doing this another 40 years. Tell me what you feel. Let's do this. And so as they say, the rest is history. And I would say in his family, my family were so supportive. They were like, Whew, now we don't have to worry about them. So
Aw. Well, I'm loving your story because, like I said, that you was married for 12 years to somebody who was not
mhm,
your friend. I've
no,
experienced that, so I completely understand. But it is a joy to like know that this your foundation. You have a solid foundation.
we do. And it's funny, Bobby, when you asked me to do this and I really started praying about it and meditating on it to really get to understand what that really means. I had to really and I go to therapy. So I even
Mhm.
told my therapist, I said, I really need to understand what my relationship prior to this looked like. And I had to admit to myself that in my marriage, there was financial abuse. My
Mhm.
ex-husband literally went to work every single day, had a good job at Blue Cross Blue Shield, but did not pay bills, would give me maybe $50. We experienced homelessness, we experience evictions. And so to be in a relationship where I am solely dependent on someone for everything, including building my nonprofit, it has been um, a challenge. It has been some deep deep diving for me, for him. um I've had to really, really understand what my triggers are as far as how I view money. I came into this with the mindset because of my ex-husband. There were still some residuals that I wouldn't tell everything that I owed money on. I wouldn't disclose, including I still own my house in Detroit. So there's also a mortgage on top of paying rent here. And I was like, no, you don't pay my mortgage. That's my mortgage. And he was like, Dominique, no, no, that's our house.
Mhm.
No. And even with the prom project, the first one that I did was in 2018, and I did it as a service project.
Mhm.
And that night, he drove all the way from Atlanta to be with me for that inaugural event. And he had stayed up 24 hours to do it. And that night he told me, he said, rest because this is about to be a thing. And I tell him, God gave him the vision before he gave it to me. God told me to organize the prom, but he gave the vision of what it can become to Patrice. And
Mhm.
so he was the one, then with the second one, he said, okay, this is the thing. This is about to be a thing. And it started dawning on me and with other people around me saying, no, Dominique, this is going to be a thing. And because that's all I kept calling it, was a thing. But it took me a really long time. But he, from the very beginning, he was the one that said, okay, you need to focus on this, all, nothing else. You need to focus on nothing else. And then, of course, the pandemic hit and life started lifing. And so at the time, my mother, my daughter, and I all lived in my house, and my daughter got married. My mother decided to move. So now I'm in the house by myself. And I'd already planned on moving out of state, but I was moving to Texas, Bobby. I'm not gonna lie. Atlanta was not on my radar, period. And I also decided to go back to graduate school. And so I'm looking at different programs, and the program in Atlanta was the one that aligned with me the most. And so I said, okay, I can go in here, I can put my house up for rent, go to Atlanta. I told Patrice, we're good. And situation changed with his home life, and now he's in the home by himself. And he's like, Dominique, why would you do that? Why don't you just move here? It's not like we hadn't lived together before. He and I lived with my other best friend. Shout out to Nisi. And then he also lived with me and my mom at one time. Because again, we're best friends first. My mother considers him like a nephew. My grandmother considers him, grandson. So that wasn't abnormal. What was different is that now we're best friends and lovers. So and now we're deciding to move in together. But like I said, the pandemic hit the first year I was in school. Everything was going great. I was able to get a job. And then after graduation, and actually I graduated in 2022. I gave you, I think it was a typo.
Oh.
Um, my bad. So 2022, I graduated, got my graduate, got my master's, and I could not land a job. Could not land a job because one thing you're not about to do is play in my face how much you're gonna give me $40,000. I don't know what Atlanta was thinking, but that wasn't it. And
Yeah.
so I was able to get a summer fellow, but that only lasted 2 months. And after that, the well ran dry. But Patrice kept saying, Dominique, you need to only concentrate on the prom project. You know, and it was really, and I'm going to say this, Bobby, God has been in it because for every time I needed more income, he was blessed with a better paying job.
Mm.
So he kept increasing, and as he increased, he would tell me, well, God gave me this money to give to you. And so literally I I get an allowance. No, it is what it is. I'm still able to continue with doing what I'm doing. As you already know, I travel back and forth to Detroit because my board is based in Detroit. The prom project is based in Detroit. So I'm having to travel at least 6 or 7 times back and forth to Detroit. Just 2 weeks ago, I was in Dallas for a leadership workshop, and he provides the ability for me to be able to do that without feeling like I owe anything, without feeling like um, I got to do something strange for some change.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
none of that. As a matter of fact, he gets frustrated with me because I'm still trying to work through some of that, and so he'll get frustrated because I'll say, well, I need to order some groceries. Like I'll order some groceries online. And he's like, you have the credit card information. Why are you telling me? Just tell me what the amount is so I know to deduct it from the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. And so I I'm really, really I'm blessed and I'm fortunate because I do know what that looks like. A friend of mine and I, you know her, so I'm not gonna say her name, but she gave me
Okay.
permission to share her story. We were
Okay.
actually talking about this yesterday, and so she shared her story and said, "Well, Dominique, we have this habit of getting into an argument only to come to the same conclusion. So let me start with that.
Mm-hmm.
We like this." So she was like, "Well, Dominique, some people are just comfortable. They get comfortable with that." And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "That's not necessarily comfort." And so when she started sharing her story, she said, well, I was in a relationship where I lived with a man and I didn't have to want for anything. He paid all my bills. I was able to take care of my kids. I was able to do what I wanted to do, have some money in my pocket. Every time we went out every weekend, I had a brand new outfit. I got my hair done. And she said, and working in the field, she helps we help each other working with human trafficking victims. And she said, now that I'm in this, I realize, yes, I was comfortable, but he was grooming me because what happened after so long, he said, well, I need you to do something for me. And she said, oh, okay, what's that? And he wanted to have a threesome. And she was like, oh, the devil is a lie. And
Really?
so she was like, no. And he was like, well, since I did A, B, and C, I did all of this for you. You can't do that for me. And as we were talking, I said, I was like, yeah, you might have been comfortable, but that's what grooming actually looks like with the trafficker. And she said, yeah, that's what I'm understanding now. Sometimes people say, well, how can she fall into that? How did she, do all this? Or they'll see some of these girls especially with this hip hop generation, is so nauseating sometimes. But get the bag, get the bag. And what they're not telling is the consequence for getting that bag. There
What you
is
got
a
to do.
real what because eventually the roosters are going to come home to roost.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to answer to that. And I think that's why a lot of people, when I say I'm kept, I say it as a joke.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say it, a lot of people have an issue with it because being kept means you're obtaining money for sexual favors. And the
Mm-hmm.
truth of the matter is, and I really thought about this, Bobby, I said, well, what does God say about being a kept woman? And I
Mm-hmm.
actually started looking into scripture about it. And God talks about the bride of Christ, which is the church.
Mm-hmm.
And in the and I was like, oh, this is good, God, thank you, because I needed this. But
Uh-huh.
he talks about um for his church, and of course it's not literal, but before his bride, he keeps her willingly. He
Mm-hmm.
loves her more than he loves himself. He sustains her, he guards her, he protects her. He he he's not going to let anything happen to her. And I said, you know what, God, that's what my relationship truly looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Patrice protects me. I say I'm in a bubble. I don't know what's going on in the world. And when I do come out, all I gotta do is be pretty.
You and your feminine girl season here. You soft woman.
But when you're in a relationship with somebody that is supporting your dream, because this is what he's supporting my dream, but he has taken it on as his dream as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so when someone takes on your dream and sees further than what you could have seen, it
Mm-hmm.
makes it easier for you to submit to that relationship. And I know I'm using some words that is going to be some people on here that do not like submit.
Mm-hmm.
But to submit to something means to give in to it
Mm-hmm.
without bucking and fighting. And as Black women, we don't get to be soft.
Mm-hmm.
We always got to keep the cape on. We got to, the angry Black woman, we always got to show up for every single body
Except
but
for ourselves.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But there is real love where you can really submit to that relationship. Not even, and I'm not going to say not even necessarily to the man, because to submit to the relationship for me is like submitting onto God.
Mm-hmm.
So Patrice is the byproduct, but everything that I'm doing, the Prom Project, working with Save the Pearls, doing other things, I'm submitting to what God has called me to do. Now, don't
Mm-hmm.
get me wrong. I take care of home. I do take care of home. I'm not just sitting here twiddling my thumbs reading a romance novel when he comes home. And so I'm not about to sit there and pretend. I'm the one that takes care of the household bills. I'm the one that make sure I got the calendar on the wall. Make sure our credit cards all. I'm the business manager of this home. I really and truly am. But I also create a space of peace when
Mm-hmm.
he comes home after slaying the dragons all day at work. He knows he can come home. I ain't gonna say he always come home to a meal on the stove. I ain't gonna lie like that. But there'll be something here to eat.
Mm-hmm. But Dominique, I want to real quick. I want to say this. I want to go back to submit. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, like now out here in social media world, everybody is talking about being submissive and the what do you want to call it? Like the they want a woman that can cook, that can clean, that can do all this, be my peace, but they're not willing to do the same.
Right.
And what people have to understand is submission goes both ways. It's just not the
Exactly.
woman
Exactly.
submitting to the man, is they
Exactly.
submit to each other. And
Exactly.
it does, submitting doesn't mean that I'm your maid and I'm your cook and all that stuff. Submitting means that we are coming together equally, saying we're in this together and we're gonna
Exactly.
help build each other up. And a lot of people, like, they think a woman just supposed to come cook, clean, and be in the bedroom.
You
And
and that's not the case. No,
it's not.
and you know, I'm gonna say this, Bobby. One of the things that I tell people when I say submit, you're absolutely. Here's a good example. So I spent some money. Okay?
Oh God, Dominique, what you do?
Hear me out.
Okay.
So I'm an only child. I
Oh
grew up as an
God,
only child. Let
Dominique.
me. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start there. I was the only grandchild until I had my daughter. I was the first niece, and on my dad's side, I was the baby cousin until my cousin had her son. So it's been quite a few years on the spoiled rottenness. Okay, it is what it is. Not having my own income has caused some real friction. I'm not going to sit there and say it's all roses and rainbows and unicorns because, again, I'm coming from a place of being with the ex husband that, for all points and purpose, was financially and emotionally abusive. So there have been moments where I have not submitted to the relationship and spent money that was deemed for something else. The latest time
Is it the
I
late?
bought I bought this hat, Bobby, I had to have.
Where that hat at, Dominique?
Girl, it's on the wall. It's in the bedroom. I posted it. It's sharp as heck. It's a custom made hat.
Oh.
I'm not gonna lie. It cost $300.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent this $300 that actually was supposed to go towards something else. And it was the first time that I did something like that I felt responsible for my actions. And really, really, and I'm like, dang, Dominique, this man is doing A, B, and C, trying to make sure that the household is running, and you don't want for anything. You don't want for anything. You spent this money because you were in a position and you didn't want to be embarrassed to say you couldn't buy this thing because you were in front of a crowd. So I had all of that to have to contend with. But instead of him saying, oh my God, I don't believe you did this. I don't you know he said, we'll figure it out. He didn't say I will figure it out. He said we will figure it out, which only made it feel worse. I ain't gonna lie. It felt worse. But I you know, I he said, Dominique, the only thing I can do is be consistent. And when you're talking about being submissive, submission is consistency. Consistently showing up like you said you were going to show up, regardless of how the other person shows up.
Yep.
And because he has been so consistent throughout my life, I've never spent money with Patrice. Even when we were best friends, we would go out. He always paid my way to everything we ever did. As a matter of fact, since we've been together, it's the first time I've ever came out of my own pocket to do anything. So when we talk about submission, I want people to understand you from a woman's perspective, a woman can only submit to a man that makes her feel safe and secure.
Mm-hmm.
For a man would be submissive to a woman that makes his life easy. And I don't mean life itself is easy, but makes his life easy. So even if we're facing some challenges, because we got some stuff going on right now, we're looking at each other. Okay, yeah, this is happening out here, but what can we do? What can we do to,
Mhm.
make this happen? Even with the prom project, you saw some of the decorations and stuff, like the neon sign and the wings and stuff. They were
Yeah,
not cheap. They were
yeah.
not cheap. And when he asked me how much did I spend on it, I told him, and he, instead of him saying, "Oh my God," he was like, "Well, Dominique, if you're doing it in Atlanta, you need to have a set in Atlanta and in Detroit."
You weren't expecting that, were you?
I was like, okay. But that's just a couple of the many, many examples that, because of his consistency and because of the way he has kept me, it has actually grown my faith spiritually, because now I can see how God how God can be so faithful, because here's this man that's being faithful in that regard. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I don't want people to think, because I say I'm kept, that it's just a complete quid pro quo type of situation. It's
Mhm.
it's not. What I mean is that he keeps me in every way. I feel safe. I feel secure. I feel protected. I feel seen. I feel heard. I don't feel like my voice is small. I don't feel like my opinion is relegated to the sidelines. Even when we're in a situation where it's like, a bunch of men, he takes care of me first before he goes back to that conversation and make sure I'm good. So I feel that makes me feel safe, because even coming from a background of experiencing even molestation, being in a crowd like that may be triggering. And because he knows that, because again, he's my best friend, he knows all the ugly that has ever gone on in my life. He already knows that ahead of time, so he makes me make sure I'm safe in that space. And he'll even say, "Do you need me to stay here? Are you good? Do you want to leave?"
Mhm.
And so it's so when I so being kept, um he keeps me, but I also keep him. So
Yeah, you do. I want to say this, Dominique. Like the whole, like the reciprocity there is awesome, because I know you love me. You that you. It's like y'all little high school relationship, because that's all y'all. It's so cute, Serious, I love it. I love it. It's like my man, my man, my man. But I love it. But you know what? When you're walking in your purpose, having the right partner is important. Because if you're God aligned you to do something, if you're with the wrong person, you'll never fulfill your purpose. So Patrice, he is the right partner for you. For one, he's walking with you in your purpose. He's helping
right,
you. He's
right.
pushing you,
Yeah.
and that's what a lot of women they look for. Like you said, they want the bag. I want the bag.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
okay, you gotta do something strange for some change for the bag. For
Mhm.
most men, why y'all want the
Mhm.
bag, and then people will settle for being in loveless or one-sided relationships for
Mhm.
the love of money. People say
Mhm.
the root of all evil is money. No, it's the love of
Love of
money that's
Amen.
the root of
Mhm.
all evil. And they
Mhm.
sell their souls because they don't want to struggle. They don't. Some people just plain out lazy. I don't want to ever work. I don't want to work. Not to say that you have to work, but it's like, dang, don't be with somebody just to live off of them. Like,
Right.
what you gotta be, like, if you want all these awesome things, make sure you're all these awesome things. And Dominique, you are all those awesome things to
Thank you,
Patrice. He
Bobby.
is to you.
Thank
So
you.
that is why, as soon as I see you, I was like, ooh, 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 I gotta. And so you're walking in your purpose. He's like helping you, like pushing you down that road.
He
And
is on my head, Bobby. He is on my head. I made the mistake.
mm,
I'm gonna say this. So after our big fundraiser this summer, and after we were on the news, I started wearing my shirt, my
Mm-hmm.
swag.
Mm-hmm.
And
We can't see it. Stand up so we can see it. That's cute.
TPPOM, the Prom Project of Mission. We were founded in 21.
21.
Yep. Oh,
21.
and yep, and my
That's cute.
I got them for our board members for the basketball game. So, and it's not too many black people walking around with blondish color hair that has the length like ours, right? So people were seeing me. I didn't recognize how much people were seeing me. And
Mm-hmm.
so so after the prom, we were on our way to go somewhere. We were staying at a hotel by the airport. And so the front office manager, I was telling her, I was like, "Oh, I am so exhausted." She said, "Well, you're on vacation." I was like, "No, I'm not on vacation. I just did an event." And immediately he said, "Don't say you did an event. You tell her what you did." And I was like, he is the ultimate hype man. And so it's those type of moments where even when I got down here, he started introducing me to his circle, because he belongs to the Atlanta Business Elite. And immediately he told me, this is where you need to volunteer. So instead of him even hoarding information or hoarding his resources, he put me in position to meet certain people, and that allowed me to be able to meet even more people. And I'm building my constituency here to bring the prom to Atlanta. But it's in those moments, and I'll say this, and I'm going to say this because I don't want people to think that I'm just harping on my ex-husband. My ex-husband's a nice man. He just wasn't a good husband for me.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I was working, doing fundraisers and nonprofit, I would be in the room, schmoozing basically, to get more donations. And my ex-husband would sit to the side with his lips poked out because he felt like I wasn't paying enough attention or I wasn't introducing him enough. And I'm like, and I would invite my other friends and they were all over the place. They was like, "Ooh, Dominique, I got this contact, I got that contact." I can't hold your hand. But Patrice doesn't require that. He actually is working the room on my behalf. "Hey, Dominic, I was just talking to this person. You need to have this conversation with this person." We were somewhere and I was talking to someone and I didn't have my business cards in my hand. And before I knew it, he had walked up putting a business card in my hand to give to the person.
My
And,
name, that's what I'm talking about.
and it's in those moments. But the flip side is, I do the same exact thing. I talk him up because Patrice is a hotel manager. He went to Germany for his internship. And if as soon as I hear somebody in event planning, I'll say, "Oh, well, you need to talk to my boyfriend because he's building something called the Patrice Experience. He's actually a hotelier. Why don't you two have a conversation?" And so we're we're building each other up because we also recognize that what we're creating is going to change generations. It's just not for us, it's for our families, it's for the people that we love, it's for the people that we're going to touch. And we're not we're not just in this just for the two of us. It could be easy just to be the two of us because we're down here. We're not around anybody, but we understand it's so much bigger than that. It's so much bigger than that. But yeah, he's a good hype man, Bobby. He is on my head. Like, I'm not allowed to just sit on my laurels. Like, we go places. You have your business cards? Yes, dear, I have my
Y'all,
business.
to me, y'all a power couple. Like y'all, that is how it's iron sharpen iron. That's how it's supposed to be. Like
Yeah.
when you're walking in your purpose, your partner, your mate, if he or she is not able to do certain things, they should be able to help you pick up the slack in something, or just being that positive support. Even those
Mhm.
affirmations
Mhm.
just help. If they may not be
Mhm.
able to do anything else, but be your that positive voice in your head.
Because
So
Bobby, this is hard work.
yes, it is.
Helping, advocating for survivors of sex trafficking and domestic violence is hard. It's
Mhm.
heartbreaking. It's mentally exhausting. It's spiritually taxing. It's hard. It
Yes.
is hard. And so to have someone that I can come and be again and be soft and cry and just let it out and then wring out my cape and put it back on and get back out here. But
Mhm.
yeah, it,
To
it,
be
it it's an
still,
amazing thing.
it is. But see, the thing is that you're being feel like when those moments you can be soft and just be vulnerable. He's filling your cup. Like
Hmm.
he's feeling you, like to
Hmm.
make sure, like I gotta make sure my baby good so she can go back out there. And
Hmm.
that to me, that's why I wanted to have you on because I wanted people to see this is how being in a healthy relationship while you're out there living your best life, living your best life, living your dreams. They ain't just out there partying, and because you enjoy what you do,
I
you
do.
enjoy it. Like you just to hear you talk about it. I love when people talk about what they do and they just did excitement. I love it. And you love what you do. You have someone who pours into you and you pour into him. And that
Hmm.
right there. So our definition of kept is not what's in the dictionary. Our definition is, I'm gonna say God's definition of kept. Like you have somebody who truly is your friend. He loves you. He cares about you. And he's supporting you. And you're doing the same for him. And that's what it's about. It ain't about that bag. Like not if you're doing the right things for all the right reasons, the bag is going to come.
It comes. It does. It
Yeah.
does come. It definitely does come. It's amazing. We say it all the time. I was like, well, because I've been in, and that's the thing, and I want people to also understand. It's not only am I building a nonprofit, but I do want to get a really good career building job. So I have been out here, interviewing and things. But again, you're not about to play in my face. I have a
Yeah.
master's. We if we're not talking
Yeah.
60,
40,000 is not, that is playing in your
we
face.
we we're not doing that. We're not doing
Yeah.
that. And so that's another thing that has been so supporting is that I can get a job. I was a hotel manager for 7 years. I can go back to the hotel industry. I can get a job.
Mm-hmm.
But his patience in allowing me to look for a an opportunity is completely different. There have been moments where it has been a little tight. Um and that's okay too. That's okay too. We Netflix and chill. you know,
Them the good nights. No.
you know, it's all good. Um but I have to do the self-work as well because I am coming to this relationship. And I'll be fully transparent, and it's probably something that I probably regret saying later, but I don't know how to lie. I don't.
It's okay. Tell the truth.
outside of
Yeah.
my outside of my marriage, this is the longest relationship. This is the longest monogamous relationship I've ever been in. And
Okay.
so having that kind of relationship where I don't even see another man, to me, is a miracle in itself. But I also had to understand and do the self-work and go to therapy and try to figure out, okay, why was I even like that? And I was always seeking something. I was always seeking validation. I was always seeking something, for someone to say, Dominique, not only are you pretty and smart, but see Dominique, see the struggles, see the anxiety. And so to you know, there are moments where I do hurt his feelings. There's been moments where he has hurt my feelings, but we move through that as well. And I go back to my therapist and I'm like, okay, this is what was said. I need to understand why I reacted this way. And so, he's doing the same self work. And then we come together and we have a fire pit outside. We drink a glass of wine and we unpack it together, So
And
yeah,
that's
you have to do the
healthy.
work. Yeah,
You do. It's healthy, but your foundation is friendship,
yeah,
and
it is.
people. This is what people don't realize. People will take better care of their friend's heart than they do their mate's heart, and because he is your friend and you're his friend, you are taking care of each other's heart. And a lot of people don't think about that. They're like, "Oh, I just got this woman or whatever," but they put their boys before they girls or whatever. But it's like if you have friendship first, you're gonna want to you because you go out your way not to hurt your friends. I
Right,
know my girls,
right,
I ride for them and I
right,
try to protect them.
right,
And Patrice,
right,
because you're his friend, that's what he does for you and you do for him.
right.
So, and that is why this I needed you to tell this story because so many people needed to see what healthy looks like. Healthy it has nothing to do with material things.
No, not at all.
No, it's not.
Not
It,
at all.
it, it's just the true friendship, the true love, the reciprocity, the care, the compassion you have for each other. That is what matters the most.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
support. So, man, I wish he wasn't at work. Like, come here, Patricia. Okay, we are at 7:49. What I want you to do real quick, take a few minutes, share our Mr. I'll call him my producer man. Can you pull up the prom projects? I want you to talk a little bit more about that for a couple
Okay.
minutes.
Okay. Sure. Now, catch me, Bobby, because I can go off the rails.
Okay.
So, the Prom Project of Michigan is an organization that was developed to provide prom events for survivors of sex trafficking and domestic violence. And we do this because we wanted our survivors to remember that they are beautiful, they are valuable, they are loved, and they're deserving of success. We provide everything that you would need for the prom. So their dress, shoes, jewelry, accessories, hair, makeup, nails. They even get a tiara and a sash that says prom queen. And everything that they choose, they take with them. And there are even some people are even able to get like maybe some business clothes. Sometimes we have stuff that has been donated. um and so for 2024 our board has decided that we need to do more than just put on a prom. So starting in 2024 we're going to be offering workshops teaching um some business etiquette. We'll be teaching how to do an elevator speech. We'll be teaching table etiquette, so people will learn which forks to use, what spoons to use. I'll be sitting in that one. We are going to be teaching even different dresses. Because a lot of times, especially younger generations, they feel like when you say business attire, it's a suit, it's stuffy, it's it's their mother's outfit or their grandmother's church outfit. So we're also going to be teaching them what that can look like, how they can keep it funky, keep their selves be authentically themselves in the way that they dress, but still present in a way that they'll be taken seriously in those environments. We actually developed, like you had mentioned before, I developed a 12-week program that we'll be implementing on life skills, and this will go even further. We'll be talking about voting rights, we'll be talking about credit issues, and then I also created a 6-week course teaching those who may be like on Section 8 how to become homeowners. Because what a lot of people don't know is that HUD actually has a program that's
Yep.
specific to Section 8 Section 8 renters. And
Yep.
so and I created the 12-week program in Spanish as well for
Oh,
our
cool. Okay. Okay.
So yes, so we are working on that. We're working on our strategic plan, and then when God gave me the vision of the prom, He woke me up on a Wednesday morning at 3 a.m. and said, "Organize a prom." He didn't tell me what to do. He didn't tell me where the money was coming from. He just said, "Organize the prom." So this whole entire organization has been based on a faith walk that um, I can't even explain. And one of the things he did tell me is to take it across the United States. So we're going to do it again in Detroit, and then we'll be coming to Atlanta, and then we'll be going to Houston, and we're going to start taking it to other states each year, to spread the love of a prom.
Oh, okay. Well, I like that. So, real quick, I want to share really quick, like take a quick minute about
Okay.
the pearls.
Save the Pearls. Sure.
Okay.
So I am the director of outreach of Save the Pearls, and our mission is to educate the community on vulnerabilities that can lead to childhood sex trafficking or child abuse. And so we provide webinars every month. We provide resources. We also will be having an in-person event in January about how social media can lead to sex trafficking, and we also will be hosting an in-person resource fair as well, so that other organizations can meet other organizations, because as you know, organizations in Michigan work in silos. Don't
Yep.
nobody know what anybody is doing, and so we want to bridge that gap and be a resource for others, so that they can find those resources as well.
Okay. And thank you, Dominique, because both of these are great programs, and I'm supporting both. I'm down
Yes,
for
she
you.
is.
Down for you. So, guys, just be on the lookout for. You can find Prime Project, the Prime Project. They have their. You guys are on Facebook, and you have Instagram too.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, and it's the Prime Project Michigan.
Hmm.
Okay,
Um,
and
yeah.
then go ahead.
We so the Instagram is Prom Project Michigan 2020. Our official website is the Prom Project of Michigan.org. We are also on Facebook as the Prom Project of Michigan. We're on LinkedIn, the Prom Project of Michigan, and we're on Twitter as TPPOM Official. We're on
Do
all
you
those
have?
things.
What about the Save the Pearls? Do you
Save the
have
Pearls.
that
So
too?
Save the Pearls website is savethepearls.org, and we're also on Facebook as Save the Pearls. Um, I'm working on our Instagram. I got to
Okay.
rebuild that. Yeah, I got to
Okay.
rebuild that.
Well, Dominique, this has been a wonderful talk. Thank you for letting us inside your
Thank
relationship.
you for having me.
No, I am honored to have you. I just love your spirit. I just love you. I'm glad that God had our paths cross. It has just been a joy to just have you in my life. So thank you. And I want to have you back again because we have a lot of other things that we can,
Mhm.
because we've been in this. So I do want to invite you back again. So guys, you will be
Okay.
seeing Miss Dominique back. So real quick before I sign off, because I have 4 minutes, I want to share that on November 30th at 7 p.m. I will have a special guest, Nasha Ely Green, and we are going to be talking about. Um, I haven't come up with a catchy title yet, but we are going to be talking about advocacy in the workplace and how people are treated. Like sometimes we can re-victimize victims, so we're going to
Mhm.
unpack that. So, guys, join in on November 30th at 7 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube Live. And you'll see me here with Miss Nasha Ely Green, my bestie. So we'll be on here. And Dominique, just thank you again for being a guest on the show. Everything turned out perfectly. So thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you, Bobby. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for sharing your platform. People don't understand that when someone shares their platform, how it blesses others. And so I'm just grateful for you. I'm grateful that we kept in touch, that we
Yes.
kept each other's phone number. And I can't wait to share this journey with you.
Thank you. And look, I told you the other day, let me know what you need some help with because I got some skills I can help you with, okay?
You already know I'm gonna call you. I call
I
you
know.
anyway.
Okay, well, Dominique, I'm gonna sign off and then I will actually be calling you a little bit later. So, but
Okay.
thank you again for coming.
Bye everyone.
Good night, everyone. See you guys on November 30th, 7 p.m. live on YouTube and Facebook with my special guest, Nasha E. Green. Good night.